"Help me, please," the mermaid cried, trapped under torn green nets. Her tail bled blue drops that mixed with cold foam. The night wind hit her eyes and made her fins shake. Afi, a young fisherwoman, froze beside her small canoe. Salt air filled her mouth, and fear chilled her hands. She grabbed a dull knife, yet her knees felt weak. The waves pushed harder, twisting the nets around the creature. Afi gasped, hearing bones crack under rope. Afi lived in Kagba, a quiet Ewe fishing village on Ghana's coast. She carried baskets before sunrise and fixed nets after sunset. Her widowed mother, Isi, sold smoked tilapia by the dusty road. Each coin helped them buy cassava and salt. Afi's father, Kojo, had drowned last Harmattan during a sudden storm. Since then, Afi feared thick clouds and high waves. She also felt a strange pull toward the deep channel near Black Rock. Old tales warned of spirits below those swirls. Children spoke of merfolk who healed, cursed, or stole voices. Fisherfolk laughed but still poured palm wine for the sea. Afi listened to every tale while mending nylon nets. She believed every being deserved some respect. 2 moons ago, 3 painted boats arrived from the big city. The visitors carried bright lamps, iron hooks, and strong red nets. They paid local boys to guide them to deep pools at night. They whispered about a harvest better than fish. The strangers left each dawn with empty hands but hard eyes. They promised to return until they captured the silver prize. Villagers grew uneasy but sold them cassava anyway. Money spoke louder than fear. Azy told Afi, "Keep away from those men, child." Afi nodded. Yet curiosity stirred in her heart. One hot afternoon, she saw the strangers hammer sharp stakes into tidal flats. They tied pulleys between the posts and spread their red nets wide. Crabs fled the mud, clicking in panic. Seagulls screamed and circled overhead. That same evening, the tide ran low and slow. Moonlight showed long scars where nets scraped soft sand. Afi slept poorly and dreamed of blue blood on her palms. She woke before dawn, heart thumping. She loaded her small canoe with empty baskets and a lantern. She planned to check her crab traps beyond Black Rock. Mist lay heavy over the lagoon mouth. Frogs croaked from mangrove roots. By accident or fate, her paddle drifted near the stranger's stakes. There she heard soft sobs and the plea that opened this tale. Afi raised her lantern high. The weak light showed a mermaid pinned against a post. Red netting cut deep into the creature's pale blue tail. "Be still," Afi whispered. Her own voice trembled. She reached with her knife and sawed at a thick knot. The mermaid's eyes glowed green in the dark water. Tears rolled down her cheeks and became tiny pearls. They dropped into the sea with soft clicks. From the distant beach, a conch horn sounded once. Hunters were checking their traps. Afi cut faster. The rope snapped, but tangled again around sharp coral. The mermaid gasped, "They will return soon." Her voice was soft like ripples against wood. Afi remembered Kojo's words. Fear hides in waiting. She plunged both hands into the cold water and pushed the net down. Barnacles sliced her wrists, but she kept pressing. Finally, the last mesh tore free. The mermaid slipped forward, yet she could not swim. Blood flowed dark under the lantern glow. Afi pulled a spare paddle from her canoe. "Hold this and float," she said. The mermaid obeyed, shaking. Afi steered them toward Black Rock, which hid a shallow cave. She had rested there during storms. Waves slapped against the narrow entrance. Inside, the cave widened into a calm pool. Streaks of glow moss lit jagged walls. Afi eased the mermaid onto a flat stone shelf. The creature winced, tail trailing thin blood. Afi tore cloth from her wrap skirt and pressed it on the wound. "I am Layla," the mermaid said between sharp breaths. "I am Afi," the fisherwoman replied, binding the tail with firm strips. Outside, dogs barked along the shore. A lantern bobbed between palm trunks. "They search," Leela whispered, eyes wide. "Rest? I will protect you," Afi answered. She hid her canoe behind boulders and crept back with palm fronds. She covered the cave mouth and smoothed footprints with a branch. Before dawn, Afi slipped home. She washed her cuts quickly and told Isi the fish were scarce. Her mother sighed and rubbed tired feet. Afi's mind raced with fear and wonder. She had touched a living myth. She sensed her life had crossed an unseen line. Before sunrise, Afi packed smoked fish, clean cloth, and a small gourd of herbs. She slipped through alleyways while Cock still slept. Inside the cave, Leela tried to sit. Her tail had dark stains, but bleeding slowed. "Eat," Afi said, offering soft fish. Leela chewed slowly, then sighed with relief. Afi cleaned the wound with herb paste. The blue flesh twitched, yet Leela did not cry. "I owe you much," Leela whispered. Afi raised a finger. "Save strength. Hunters listen to small sounds." Just then, pebbles rolled down the outer slope. Both froze. Water rippled at the entrance. Afi held her breath. A shadow blocked morning light. Someone pulled at the palm fronds. A low male voice cursed. "Nothing here, only bats." Footsteps retreated, but Afi's heart still pounded. "That was close," she said once, sure of silence. Leela nodded, scales shivering. Danger comes in waves. A distant drum beat 3 times from the village square. Drums usually marked birth or death, never dawn. Afi worried the hunters had bribed the chief. She decided to move Leela deeper. The inner wall showed a narrow crack filled with dark water. Afi tested it with her arm. The channel felt wide after one bend. "Can you swim a short distance?" she asked. Leela flexed her tail. "I will try." Afi tied a rope around her own waist and passed the end to Layla. "If current pulls me, follow slowly," she said. They entered the crack. Cold water hugged them. After 5 strokes, the space widened into a hidden lagoon under the cliff. Faint light fell through holes in the roof. Small white crabs clung to wet stone. "Safe for now," Afi whispered. Leela managed a weak smile. Afi climbed a ledge and arranged a dry spot with leaves. She dripped warm herb oil onto Leela's tail. Leela touched Afi's cheek. "Why risk so much?" "My father saved drowning strangers," Afi said. "I honor him." A loud crack echoed from above. Thin dust fell in a cloud. Afi looked up and saw a fresh fracture in the ceiling rock. "We must watch for collapse," she warned. Leela agreed, eyes wide. They spent the day listening to distant waves. At times, Afi heard men shouting numbers, maybe mapping rocks. Near noon, Afi snuck out through the original cave mouth. She saw 2 new stakes driven near Black Rock. Ropes ran seaward, and vanished. A man in a blue coat spoke with the chief. Coins changed hands. Afi bit her lip till blood came. She hurried home for supplies. Isi asked, "Why so many errands?" Afi wrote on a slate, "Neighbour's baby is ill." Essie frowned, but allowed her to leave again. That afternoon, a thick fog rolled from the sea. Fishermen stayed on shore. Hunters, however, lit bright lamps and walked the shallows. Afi skirted them by climbing mangrove roots. One hunter slipped and cursed. His torch fell, setting dry grass aflame. Smoke rose black against white mist. Confusion spread. Men shouted orders. Afi used the chaos to fetch fresh water and cassava. Back in the hidden lagoon, Leela soaked in herbal water. Colour returned to her cheeks. "Your land food heals," she said. A sudden hiss sounded from the dark pool behind them. Afi pointed her lantern and saw many silver eyes. 5 eels slithered forward, jaws open. She grabbed a broken paddle. Leela splashed water to scare them. The eels darted away but lingered at the edge. "They sense blood," Leela warned. Afi piled stones between the pool and their shelf. That night they took turns keeping watch. Afi dozed and dreamed of a black wave swallowing Kagba. She woke sweating and heard a strange low song echoing through the rock. Leela said, "The deep currents sing when a storm rises." Afi listened. The sound felt like breath against her skin. Early next morning, a shell necklace floated into the lagoon. It was strung with bright beads, unknown to land people. Leela touched one bead. "Hunters killed a young sister," she whispered. Afi's stomach turned cold. She vowed to end the hunt. But first, Leela needed full strength. Afi rode to the village healer, Mawuli. She traded 3 fish for a jar of thick salve used on shark bites. Mawuli asked, "Who is hurt?" "A turtle," Afi lied, eyes downcast. He shrugged. On her return, she saw children drawing in sand. They sketched a mermaid with sharp teeth. Adults whispered and pointed at the sea. A goat carcass washed ashore, tangled in red net. Its belly was sliced, organs missing. The sight stirred fear in the village. Some blamed sea spirits angry at new nets. That evening, a meeting was called. Afi hid behind a tree near the fire circle. The chief spoke with raised voice. "The strangers promise big payment if we help." Old Nana argued, "Blood price will follow." Many nodded. Others eyed the coins in chief's basket. A hunter lifted a torn scale as proof of their quarry. Villagers gasped at its blue shine. Afi clenched her fists. She hurried back through dark paths. In the lagoon, Leela tried gentle tail kick. The wound held firm. Afi applied new salve. Leela asked, "Will your people surrender me?" Afi shook her head. "Some may, but I will not." Sudden thunder boomed outside, though the sky showed stars. Water inside the cave rose an inch in seconds. Afi marked the level with coal. "If water keeps rising, we must move again," she said. Leela closed her eyes and sang a short scale. The water stilled but did not drop. 3 crabs climbed onto the shelf, clacking claws. Afi swept them away with her hand. They planned through the night. Leela revealed a hidden gate farther along the coast. "When the moon sets, a current opens," she explained. "It leads straight to deep water." Afi agreed to guide her there at next low tide. Before dawn, a raven landed on a rock and croaked twice. Ravens never visited this coast. Leela stiffened. Bad omen, she whispered. They packed quickly. Afi wrapped Layla in palm leaves soaked with seawater. They moved through the crack toward the outer cave. Midway, they heard metal hammerstone. Hunters had broken through the first blockage. Afi counted 6 voices echoing. She tasted fear, bitter and sharp. They doubled back and took a different tunnel, unknown to hunters. The path was narrow, and stones scraped Afi's shoulders. Suddenly, light flashed behind them. A portable lamp slid across water. "Run," Afi hissed, though they were already swimming hard. Layla's tail thrust strong now, pushing both forward. The tunnel opened near Black Rock's backside. The night turned very dark. Tide pulled seaward. A distant horn blew 4 notes, the signal for all hunters to meet. Soon torches dotted the beach like angry eyes. Afi steered Layla under the cliff shelf. They waited, half submerged. A hunter's canoe drifted close. He stabbed water with a spear at random. Afi held her breath and pressed Leela against the rock. The spear passed inches from Afi's leg. She felt wood-grey skin, but stayed still. A wave slammed the canoe onto a boulder. The hunter cursed and paddled away. Afi exhaled and whispered, "We move now." They followed the coast north, hugging shadows. The current helped, but sometimes dragged them outward. Leela guided by faint songs under the water. Afi could not hear them, but trusted her friend. 2 dolphins surfaced beside them, clicking loudly. Leela clicked back. The dolphins swam ahead, then returned and nudged Afi's boat east. "Sharks patrol west tonight," Leela said after listening. Afi shivered. They turned east and entered a narrow trench between reefs. Waves calmed, yet the water smelled of iron. Old wreckage lay below, masts broken. Afi's lantern showed red paint on splintered boards similar to hunters' boats. One board carried fresh rope. "They lost a boat here," Afi said. "Strong water broke their boats," Leela answered. They rested in a small inlet covered by mangrove roots. Afi checked Leela's wound. New skin formed. She smiled. Leela asked, "When this ends, what will you wish?" Afi thought. "Quiet mornings and nets full of honest fish." Leela laughed softly. Water shaking with gentle ripples. Mangrove roots shifted, and a giant crab, big as a basket, crawled out. It raised claws and hissed. Afi swung her paddle. The crab retreated into mud, but its movement spooked nesting birds. The birds flew up, screeching, revealing their hiding spot. Shouts rose from south end of the inlet. Hunters paddled fast, lights bright. Afi and Layla broke cover, racing north toward the open sea. The chase began. Moon set. World turned very dark, but Layla's eyes glowed, guiding the way. Afi rowed with all her strength. Her shoulders burned. Water slapped her face, tasting like metal again. They reached the secret gate just as tide turned. A swirl pulled them forward through a wide cave arch. Hunter's lights vanished behind a wall of churning foam. Inside, the water glowed blue, lit by tiny plankton. Leela swam freely, tail strong. Afi held onto her dorsal ridge. A loud gong note vibrated through the water ahead. Leela stopped. "Boundary bell," she whispered. It warns my people when landers cross. Afi felt pressure in her ears. She saw silhouettes ahead merfolk guards with long spears. Leela swam forward and showed her heeled tail. She spoke in clicks and hums. The guards nodded, waved them past, but pointed at Afi. One guard gestured throat to lips, then crossed his arms. Leela's face fell. "They remind me of the price," she said. "What price?" Afi asked. Leela touched Afi's neck gently. 3 days later, your land voice must rest in the sea." Afi swallowed hard, but kept swimming. They reached a bright pillar of warm bubbles. Beyond it lay deep blue space, clear and wide. Silver towers of coral stretched below like roads. "This is far enough," Leela said. She pressed a small pearl into Afi's palm. "For courage," she said. Afi hugged her. Leela whispered, "Listen to the dawn tide. I will answer." They parted with gentle waves. Afi watched Leela dive toward a distant light. She turned back toward the gate, alone. Afi reached Kagba at dawn, exhausted yet alive. She hid the pearl in her pouch and slept until noon. Villagers spoke of broken hunter boats and strange storms. The strangers left, promising to return with more men. Day 1 passed. Afi helped mend nets and kept silent about her journey. Day 2 came with bright sun. Isi cooked groundnut soup. Afi laughed softly, feeling hope. Night fell. Afi stood at the shoreline, listening. Far out, a sweet song floated on small waves. She whispered back, "I hear you, Leela." The sea shimmered under starlight. Day 3 arrived. Roosters crowed and market bells rang. Afi opened her mouth to greet Essie. No sound came. She tried again. Only air escaped. Her eyes widened. She tasted salt, though she had not yet left the hut. She ran to the beach, breath quick. Waves reached her ankles, warm and gentle. They withdrew, leaving a white shell. Afi lifted the shell to her ear. Inside, she heard her own lost voice. It sang the dawn song back to her. She understood. The promise was sealed. Her voice now lived with the sea. Afi could still laugh without sound. She learned to speak with hands, shells, and steady eyes. At first, people felt uneasy. Soon they saw her calm grace and listened closer. She carved simple signs on driftwood boards. Children copied them and played silent games. Merchants argued, yet Afi's quiet smile eased their fights. She pointed at fair scales or nodded at honest weights. One evening, a fisherman returned injured by a stingray. He groaned, skin pale. Afi led him to the tide pool near Black Rock. She pressed the pearl against his wound. Cool blue light spread. Pain faded, and the man stood, amazed. News travelled fast. Many sought her help. Feverish babies, cut hands, broken hopes. Afi treated them with herbs and silent comfort. She never charged coin. Instead, she asked them to respect the sea. She taught families to free young fish and avoid greedy nets. Izzy watched with pride. One night, she signed, "Your father smiles from the waves." Afi pressed forehead to her mother's eyes shining. Hunters never returned. Their captain's report spoke of cursed waters and vanishing lights. When storms threatened, dolphins guided village boats home. Fisherfolk swore a blue shadow swam beside each hull. Afi often walked the moonlit beach. She placed shells in lines that spelled thanks. The tide moved them into new lines. She read each message and felt whole. 3 months later, Kagba held a quiet festival. No drums, no loud songs, only soft flutes and gentle clapping. Afi carried a basket of small pearls to the chief. She bowed and offered them as peace tokens. The chief accepted with lowered head. He decreed the coastal caves sacred and net-free. That night, Afi sat alone on Black Rock. A breeze brushed her hair. She heard Leela's song rising from the deep trench. Afi closed her eyes and answered with hand signs over the water. She knew the sea understood. Every kind act asks for payment, seen or unseen. Afi lost her speaking voice, yet gained deeper hearing. She learned that true speech lives in deeds, not sound. When you help without fear, the world changes shape around you. Some doors close, others open with quiet light. Measure the cost, then give with steady heart. The price may hurt, but kindness returns in ways beyond words.